I developed a morning routine and ritual that just got me excited and charged up to like be the best version of myself and just grow on a high level. And so that put me down like a crazy rabbit hole of self-development where since then I've probably read like 300, 400 books on just success and development and personal growth and stuff like that. And it helped me so much that I just wanted to start helping other people in that way. And since I had already kind of been helping people on a music level of how can they get shows and how can they go on tour and how can they put out an album and how can they actually sell their merchandise and stuff like that. And I realized like, okay, I'm pretty good at helping people do this stuff. And then but these books have changed my life on way more than just music. Like it's just on a personal level. And so I wanted to help people on that kind of level. And that's kind of what.
You ever thought about getting him to become like a motivational speaker?
Yeah, that's my plan.
That's your end goal.
That's awesome. I mean, you're super good at it. So you were doing music for a while before you kind of discovered, I hate to say self-help, but, you know, like self-growth.
Self-development.
Self-development.
Why does self-help has such a bad name?
It does have a bad name, but it shouldn't.
Why? Why does it though? Why do you think?
Because the people who are angry and depressed
Don't want to
feel good about making fun of those people, I think.
That could be a definite reason, and there's a lot of connotations that go along with that, and I think it's partially an ego thing or something like that. But I've gotten made fun of for reading those types.
Have
of
you?
books.
I was going to ask that. I was going to because you know you almost get teased for it, so then you kind of pull away, and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do.
You're afraid to be positive because people tear you down for being positive
100%.
so much.
But it's all about what you focus on. I was talking about this with Teaser this morning as we were going on a hike, and I was saying, like, it's so easy to take, like, that one negative comment and, like, play that back in your head over and over again and think about it, and then you take the other 9 positive comments that you got and they're in one ear out the other. You know what I'm saying?
I think most people actually do that.
Yeah.
That's probably the most common way to act.
Yeah, I would get so many compliments on my music and so many people sending me messages or things online and reaching out to me at shows, like saying really touching, genuine things to me, and it was in one ear out the other. But if one person hated on me or like, you know, kind of said something negative about one of my songs or just about me as a person, like I would feel that like 10 times harder, and I would talk about it more and focus on it so much, and I would attract more of that into my life.
Would it make you like really focus on fixing that one thing to make that one person like you?
Yeah, sometimes it would. It was like, oh, these people, like, even when I first put out like a inspirational, motivational type video, like I got a couple people like kind of laughing at it and making fun of me, and it almost caused me to stop. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to do this. I was embarrassed. You know what I mean?
What made you keep going?
All the positive comments. I chose to focus on those. I said, wow, I'm getting 10, 20 messages on Facebook every single day of people telling me how I've changed their life, and text messages left and right of people saying like, yo, I watched your video and it really helped me change my perspective, and now I'm doing this because of your advice and it's helped me out so much. Thank you so much, and please, you know, keep making more of this type of stuff. And those are the people that I care about. Like, if I can help one person, that's awesome, and it's worth taking all the guff for or getting made fun of for just because it really is making an impact.
People are going to find a reason to make fun of you. I
yeah.
figured that out.
Oh, yeah.
But for some reason, I don't know, the whole self-help thing, I've struggled myself with it, you know.
It's hard, especially when you're putting yourself out there. You're getting in the ring, you're doing the fighting, you're the one putting things out there. And the people who are making fun of you are the ones standing on the outside who are scared to do anything. So anyone who does get in the ring, they just can make fun of, because then it's like, it helps them.
Sure.
It's like the crabs in the bucket. Have you guys heard you know the crabs in the bucket?
Totally.
Yeah, that's how humans are. It sucks. I guess I'm more negative.
So let's talk a little bit about your music.
Okay.
Have you always, like, you been in any groups or bands or anything?
Yeah,
or is
yeah.
it solo stuff always, or what? Talk about that.
I've done lots of collaborations and lots of projects. I've mostly been solo. Like, Teaser and I have a little side project called The Mountaineers that we've done. We've never taken it super seriously, but we've written a bunch of songs together. And he's always in the studio with me, giving me that other perspective. Because when you're looking at your own art, you see it in this biased way, and then sometimes you really need another ear to kind of like offer some suggestions or whatever, and he's really good at guitar, and so maybe sometimes, oh, maybe we should switch it like this, or we should add a little guitar line here, or he'll kind of give me just little suggestions or creative ideas on the writing, and we bounce off of each other. So I've always been collaborating with people, and I had a band for a while, but it only lasted like 6 months.
Why is that? What happened there?
I think the reason that didn't last very long was, number one, I had a baby, and I had to kind of step back and focus on being a father, and then the bassist of our band moved to LA, the drummer went and started a coffee shop, and it was just hard to keep everyone together, balancing 6 people's schedules. I know anyone that's been in a band knows that struggle.
When you turn into an adult and life happens, it's like impossible.
Yeah, when you're like 16 and you have no responsibilities and you can just jam in the basement all day long, that's awesome. But then when you start getting in your 20s and you actually have like life stuff to handle, then it's harder to just balance everyone's schedules.
Yeah. Do you think that since you met Teaser, like you guys have something where you actually work so well together that it's like this great partnership?
Yeah, there's definitely
it's kind of
a
helped
synergy.
you grow more even?
Yeah, 100%.
See, that's how I feel since I brought you on the podcast, Chrissy.
Aw, thanks.
Anyway, I know
It's good, and it's more fun to
it is. I mean,
someone else.
There's something about having someone there who understands how to communicate with you and understands your point of view and can bounce things off with you without being like critical or trying to take the spotlight. Where you both just care about each other enough and you care about the music enough that you can work together. And I think that's pretty rare.
It is.
To find.
It is, and I'm super grateful that him and I kind of have that synergy, because when we started making music, it was like every song was written together. I would write, I'd write a line, he'd write a line, then we'd show them to each other, and then that would inspire the next line that we would each write. And
like the collaboration creates better things than anyone could do on their own.
Yeah, and it's more fun. I mean, have you ever been in a beautiful place, like, I don't know, maybe on a hike or a beach or something, and if you're by yourself, it's like you're taking in the beauty and you really enjoy it, but you just like want someone to share it with. Like, I don't know if you felt that.
I just want it all for me. Get out of here. This is my moment here.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just like, I mean, that's the reason that I brought him to this podcast interview with me. It's sort of moral support to have like a homie with me, and then it's just more fun to like. I started doing so much stuff by myself, and it started to get like. It was weird because I was doing these big things that were like almost dreams of mine, like going on U92 or KRCL for my first few times, and like going on radio stations in LA and doing these cool things that I was really excited about, but I was doing them by myself, and it wasn't that exciting. It started to actually feel like lonely, you know what I mean?
The whole phrase, "it's lonely at the top," there's a reason that phrase was created.
I could relate 100%. Yeah. I know how it is. How it is, and that's why it's good to have a partner in crime or a best friend or something. Let's talk about your or did you have a question?
I actually do. Yeah. I kind of got stuck on something you said a while ago, and I wanted to revisit it.
Okay.
You said that you would try to hang out with people who were doing music, and you would try to pick up a guitar, and they'd just give you the microphone to make you like stop.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious, when was that? And was that before you really dived into music at all?
Yeah.
And were you completely self-taught? Like, what was your journey?
Yeah, so it was completely self-taught. I was so fascinated. At first, I was just a skateboarder, snowboarder kid, and I just listened to whatever music was in skate videos and loved those, and I became a fan. And then I remember just like anytime I saw a guitar or saw a piano or just any instrument of any type at anyone's house, I wanted to play it so bad. Like, it was just this irresistible urge of like, I want to play that guitar so bad, but I don't know how to play. So it's like, and then a lot of my friends would be cool, and they'd be like, yeah, you can play, and they'd give it to me for a few seconds, and it's obvious I had no idea what I was doing, and a lot of them, maybe like we were young, they didn't have patience to teach me, so it was kind of like, all right, I'll set this down, sorry, and, you know.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
That's so sad.
You know, and I mean, it was just like finding my lane, and then I remember like specifically in 10th grade when I was 16, going to my friend's house who had like a little jam room set up with some drums, a guitar, and a keyboard in the basement. And they were jamming, and they all kind of had their instruments, and they've been playing for years. And I was just kind of standing there watching them, and then I think they kind of like wanted to include me, so they're like, "Here, bro, you want to get on the microphone?" And I was like, "Oh, I can't sing, man. Like, I got made fun of in choir class. You know, I can't even." So I just got the mic and I just started like rapping because I didn't really know that I was rapping. Like, that was just, I think I was listening to Eminem, and so that was kind of the style of sounds that came out of my mouth, and it was like, people were impressed, like, "Oh, you're pretty good at this," and doing little freestyles and stuff, and it started kind of out of humor. We would spit freestyles just as joking around, clowning, and making fun of each other, doing little rap battles and stuff like that, just to be silly. And then it kind of, I felt like I was good at it for some reason, and I felt like it was the thing that I had. Like, my other friends, they took guitar lessons, so I didn't want to try to play guitar because they already have years under their belt, and I feel like I've always been like, I don't want to do something unless I can be like good at it. You know what I mean? It's not fun to do stuff that you suck at, really.
But you gotta get there, though, man. It takes
I sucked at rapping, but I thought I was good, and that was the difference. I thought that I had maybe a slight knack for it, so I was like, okay.
So you continue on to pursue that.
Yeah.
Do you have like a dream instrument that you would like to know how to play, or that you dream of playing?
It's the bagpipes.
How did you know?
That would be sick to learn. Could you imagine me taking bagpipe lessons? I would annoy all of our neighbors.
It's the worst. It's the most annoying instrument.
Especially to learn. I don't know if you've ever heard anyone that
My brother actually is like a bagpipe player.
Wow. Is he really?
Oh yeah, and I've listened to him play so much, and he's great, but you can't do that because it annoys the hell out of everyone around you all the time.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Like, the whole
Anytime I
neighborhood
picked up
can
a
hear
brass instrument and tried to like make a sound out of it, I'm just like, hey.
Well, what is your instrument, man? What is your?
So I mean, I play piano, and I love playing piano.
But your dream one, like one that you're like, oh man, I want to take lessons, but I don't.
I would love to just be able to rip up the drums. Like,
really?
I can keep a beat if other people are playing, and I've developed a little bit of a rhythm through beat making, and I understand like drum structure because I program drums so much on the computer. But I would love to just like sit down in a drum kit and blow people's minds. You know what I mean? That would be fun.
Like real hardcore drumming is tough because like, especially if you have double bass pedals and you're doing everything, you have to have like serious balance and coordination and.
Oh yeah.
That's not an easy thing.
No, I would love to be able to play that.
I bet you could do it.
Did you hear that? Something in the wall or something?
Was that the wall?
I don't know.
I thought someone dropped a drink.
Anyway, I don't know. I don't know if anyone caught that at the home recording or the home recording. Anyway, I wanted to get into your albums though. I mean, because you have quite a few releases.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at least like on that I've seen. I don't know what you have out there. I don't know where to even start with all of that. I don't know your first one.
I'll break down my catalog real quick.
Let's break it down.
It's not that extensive, so
it seems extensive to me.
It's the amount of songs I've written is very extensive. The amount of songs I've released is not that extensive. So I mean, I put out my first album when I was 19. It was all like self-produced, recorded in my room, and I basically just like, I wasn't even planning on making an album. I just kind of started making songs, and then next thing I know, I had 18 songs, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna burn this onto a CD and start giving it to my friends. And then I actually like found a local like printer that would print them up for me and make them look a little more official. So that was my first album. It was just called Burnell Washburn, and that was when I was 19, and I think that's back in 2009. So
quickly doing the math.
Yeah. It should be easy because I was born in 1990. So you know.
You were born in 1990.
Yeah, 1990.
Wow.
I feel so old right now.
I like that because most people think I'm old now because a lot of these rappers are blowing up when they're like 19 or 20. You know what I mean? So it's like all of a sudden I feel like I'm old in the rap game, but I'm not. At least I look young, so I can blow up in my mid-30s and still be chill.
Get away with it.
You know what I mean?
So anyway, after that release, you were.
So then I dropped. Then it was an EP called the White Dove EP, and then I followed that up with a full-length LP called The Food of Love, and then after that I dropped an EP called An Apple a Day EP, and then I dropped a couple little like side projects that were just unofficial kind of, and some collaborative songs and stuff, and then I dropped my last like full EP, or full LP, which was called Gratitude, and that dropped in 2014, and now it's 2016, and I haven't dropped an album since then. I've dropped a couple singles, and I've put out tons and tons of beats, and I've written tons of songs and collaborated with people, but I've been really just trying to kind of find my sound because I didn't like my last album.
What didn't you like about it?
I felt like I was trying too hard. I was trying to please people, and I was trying to do what I thought people wanted to hear from me rather than just what felt right to me. And it's not like a fun album to me. Like when I listen to it, I don't have fun listening to it that much. There's a couple moments that I really like, but it wasn't that fun to perform. A lot of the songs were kind of deeper and slower, and it was just, I had to kind of step back from that. And
so you're kind of like reassessing your voice as a musician.
Exactly.
I think that's super important. That's something that artists need to do.
Yeah.
Every now and then.
And that was going to kind of lead me into a question, and maybe that's your answer. But what advice would you give an up and coming hip hop artist, somebody who wants to get into the game, somebody who's starting out? I mean, you've been doing it for a while. What would you tell them? They're listening.
I mean, there's so much advice that I would give them on so many different categories, whether it's on marketing aspects or actual like mechanical aspects or philosophical mindset aspects. There's so much different advice, so that's kind of a broad question.
Sure.
But the main thing I would say, just from touching on what I just mentioned on Not Liking My Album, is like, just do what sounds good to you. If it feels good to you as you're writing it and recording it, then it's good, and you will find an audience for it. Do not try to appeal to anybody. Don't try to don't follow trends. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, this style is popular right now, so I want to make that kind of style so I can kind of fit into like what's happening right now. But I feel like you'll be unfulfilled and not like it after that. So
create your own thing, man, and maybe you're the next trend.
Exactly. I mean, that stifles innovation.
Sure.
to just follow the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So that's amazing advice. Yeah. Good job.
Thank you.
Have you got to like tour or play outside of Utah much, or at all?
I've toured. I've been to probably about like 40 plus states.
Really? Just all playing music
Yeah,
and
just
stuff?
playing music.
Huh?
Yeah.
How long? Recently? Long ago?
I started touring in 2010. So
Okay.
it was after I dropped the Food of Love LP. I just started going on the road and booking my own DIY tours and playing shows wherever I could find them, you know what I mean? And reaching out to people myself, asking, hey, do you know anyone in this city that throws shows that I could maybe, get connected with? And even if it was just like an open mic night, I would be down to travel somewhere. I was so hungry, wanted it so bad that I would drive 12 hours on my own money, not get paid a dime, sleep in my car to perform one song on an open mic for 5 people.
Wow.
And I've done that many times, and I don't regret it, and I would do it over again.
Do you have a favorite city that you played in?
I really like Los Angeles for some reason. It's just the LA area is like a big area, so I've done lots of shows around different parts of LA and just kind of Southern California in general. And I just like the vibes down there, and I just have like a really strong connection with the community. There's tons of people I know down there. So
It's easy to get swallowed up in LA, but at the same time, there's so many people who are invested in the arts and music and things like that you can still find those people a little bit easier than you could here.
Yeah, I was scared to go to LA because I was like, oh, this is like the big bad mega city of like a lot of the most influential hip hop artists in the world live here or are from here, and I don't think anyone's gonna give me any time of day out here. You know what I mean? I didn't think that would happen, but when I started going there, it was the exact opposite. People were so embracing and like so accepting and loving, and like it was crazy. I was like, wow, I did not think LA would like mess with me, you know what I'm saying? But I've also really loved small towns because I developed like really strong relationships with, almost feel like I have a relationship with the whole town.
Sure.
And everyone comes, since there's not much to do, if you're playing a show in a really small town, that might be the only show that's happening that night. And so the whole town comes out, and it's awesome.
That's what I love about Salt Lake, because it's not LA. It's not so over populated that you disappear.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also find like a really good amount of supportive people,
Yeah.
and there's still good scenes and everything.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
kind of almost
It's
like
really good balance.
small city meets big city.
Totally, 100%.
Do you
Cool.
feel like, on that same note of Salt Lake, you know, you hear from people that feel like, well, if I stay in Salt Lake, I can't be successful. I have to move.
Yeah, I heard that so
Do you
many times.
feel that way with you in music at all?
Not at all. Internet opened up the floodgates, and you could be anywhere now and blow up on the internet.
And I hope people hear that, because
Yeah.
I'm a firm
We
believer.
talk about this a lot.
Chris and I,
Actually,
yeah,
yeah.
we talk about this, because so many people, they feel they have to move to Chicago or LA or New York City or something like that to get big and to get noticed. But
And you used to have to before the internet.
You did, and
But-
I thought I would at first too. I remember that's all I wanted to do was move to LA or move. At first, I wanted to move to Minneapolis so bad because there was such a strong hip hop movement there in terms of like a more independent kind of underground hip hop culture.
sure,
Where like there's a group called Atmosphere and Rhymesayers Entertainment out of
atmosphere, yeah.
yeah, and you know they're huge now. It's such a strong scene out there. I was thought, all I have to do is move out there and get connected with those guys, and it's game over. But then I realized, kind of like hindsight 2020, I was looking at it and I was like, damn, staying in Salt Lake was the best, most strategic move I could have made, because what it gave me is I developed a certain level of clout in this city to where I actually was connected enough in this city to use that as a leverage to help other people from other cities. And that's the biggest thing that connected me into the touring market and got me involved with other artists outside of the state, because I was able to give them shows here. I was able to put them on and bring them out, and then I developed a reputation with underground touring hip hop artists to where they were talking amongst themselves all across the country. If you're booking a show in Salt Lake, you should try to hit up Burnell Washburn, because he can open for you, or he can help you get the show, or he'll make your show a lot more poppin' if he's on the bill. So
you're one of the people making it happen now instead of
Yeah.
one of the people going out and trying to get stuff.
yeah, exactly.
Which is a great side to be on, because you're helping the actual community grow.
And I've been like that since day one. I've been a firm believer, and this is what I tell anyone that asks me how to get shows. I say, yo, if people aren't going to give you opportunities and you're reaching out trying to get opportunities and they're not coming and you're not finding them, then you should be the one creating opportunities. Because no one likes a taker, you got to be a giver. So if you're the one providing the opportunities, it kind of puts you on a whole another like level of being able to leverage that and bring other artists around, and then you're the one doing things for people and they're hitting you up. And so like one of our first shows we ever did was, I remember I went to a local hip hop show at a place called the Comedy Circuit in Midvale. It's a little kind of hole in the wall comedy venue. And it was back on the MySpace days. I found out about it through MySpace because I researched like
There's a flashback.
yeah, I could research like Salt Lake hip hop, and I found a couple of hip hop artists, and then I saw one of them had an upcoming show at this comedy circuit, so we went there, and the time was wrong, so we were there like an hour or two early, and it was just the venue owner there, and we talked to the venue owner, and we were just kind of chit chatting, and then we're like, I was like, what would it take to do a show here? Because like we kind of started to play music, and he's like, oh, you just send me an email and we kind of book you a date and it costs this much and you can sell tickets and this and that. And I was like, oh really? That's how you do it? Okay. Let's set one up for next month. And then I just booked a few of my friends that had never played shows before either. And we just did our own little showcase there. And that's really how it all started. Is like, I didn't wait for anyone to put me on. And I went to every single open mic night in town and just would go do one song, but I would bring a crowd to watch me on the open mic, and that kind of gave me leverage too.
Awesome.
That's amazing. How do you feel the hip hop scene in Salt Lake is? Do you feel like it's pretty strong and there's a lot of support?
Yeah, I think in comparison to the size of city we have, like, do you know the exact population of our value? I know our value's like what, 2 million? It's close to 2 million.
I know Salt Lake, I think 3 million for the entire state, maybe I read somewhere. You think, gosh, I should
It's
know
growing
these
like
kind of
crazy
facts,
too,
right?
right?
I mean,
I thought you of anyone would. So.
oh, way to put
Way
me
to
on
drop
the
the ball, Chris.
way to put me on the spot. No, I know Salt Lake really isn't that big.
Yeah.
You know, I know like numbers, like I've heard a number like downtown, for example, of Salt Lake only has like 3,000 or 3,500 people that live there, but like 35,000 work there.
Wow.
So there's an interesting number, right? Like it's like no wonder the town dies up on Sunday.
Yeah. I know, like I remember reading something about the whole valley, and it was at least above 1 million. If you count like the whole entire
the
valley.
whole from like the point of the mountain
up to the Capitol and avenues and stuff like that.
North
so,
Salt Lake and stuff.
Yeah, so if you count like the whole kind of area, I think it's over 1 million. You know, we could probably use a thing called Google and figure it out.
We got the internet.
We all have computers sitting in front of us.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it right now when you guys talk.
Well, okay, now that we're on Salt Lake, and like I mentioned earlier, we have Ryan Prince, one of our Patreon supporters. He's jumping over here to the mic, and he might be asking some questions in just a second. But I'm going to ask you a couple more questions here about Salt Lake. Do you have any what do you like about Salt Lake? I mean, I know that's kind of a broad, vague question, probably too, but there's got to be a couple things, man.
The mountains, #1. Do you hear how well I pronounce mountains? I've never said
Nice
it like
job,
that.
you did not drop your T.
I
I'm
never do it.
impressed.
I always say
Mountains.
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 Oh,
I love the mountains.
1.8 million.
1.8 million in
Salt Lake
Salt
County.
Lake County.
Okay.
So Chrissy Googled it.
I am all over this.
So just to real quick answer her question, she asked me if I thought the Salt Lake hip hop scene had a lot of
We're
support.
all over here.
And I'll get back to what I like about Salt Lake here in just a second. But what she was saying is, does the Salt Lake hip hop scene kind of have a lot of support, and what's the hip hop scene like? And I have personally seen it grow. Like I could throw out a random number or percentage, but there's no facts. It's
just make one up.
I've seen it grow 73.4% since I got in the scene. You know, it's been crazy. Like there's so many rappers and DJs and beat makers and talented ones too. At that, just even since I started, and to now in the last like 7 years or so, it's crazy how much it's grown. Like so many more people are doing it, and I know that's happening all across the world because of the internet and technology, and it's becoming more accessible, and it's way easy. You don't have to pay some big studio to go recording time. You spend a couple $100 tops, not even that. Most people, you got an app on your phone, you start recording yourself and putting out songs, and it's way accessible now. So it's growing, you know, across all things. But to me, the size of the city versus the size of the hip hop scene is incredible. Like, I don't know what the population of Portland, Oregon is, but I feel like our hip hop scene is like way bigger than Portland, Oregon's. And there's been a few people from Portland that have maybe kind of like gotten a little more successful in certain ways, and they might have a better indie rock scene or this and that. But our hip hop scene for the size of the city is incredible. So that's just, and I think it's really embraced. Like everyone's kind of supportive of each other, and it's really easy to get your foot in the door here.
Oh, good. Well,
that's awesome. I have to fess up. I was wrong. It's 1.08 million. I just couldn't.
Well, you had to fix that in case we got an email.
Yeah,
Somebody said.
I was listening. I just had to.
Fact checkers.
Because you were like, we're big on facts, and I was like, oh, I said the wrong fact. So, but that's what I love about Salt Lake, though. It's so supportive. Almost every group in the art scene in general, it's so supportive that I've met people who moved. I've met someone who moved here from Seattle because they could live here. It's affordable, and the scene is just as great. Yeah. You know, there's still so much going on that you can be as involved, and there's still.
And it's only a 15-hour drive to Seattle.
Right? I mean, no big deal. Everyone has 15 hours.
Yeah. No, the Seattle scene is incredible for real. But they've been cultivating it for a really long time. And they've had a lot of people kind of achieve mega success too, which kind of expands the platform for everybody. And we haven't necessarily had any hip hop artists from Salt Lake yet that have necessarily gone on a super global international household name type level. There has been some artists here that have had #1 songs on iTunes though.
Yeah.
You know, like James the Mormon.
I was just gonna say James the Mormon.
Yeah, I'm producing some songs for him right now, and it's like inspiring to see someone be like charting on iTunes from our state, regardless of what you think about him. That's pretty cool.
We got to get that guy on. Have you heard James?
I haven't even heard of him until this moment.
Cool.
You're pretty connected with him?
Yeah, I can.
Maybe we can get in touch with him. Really quickly though, about Salt Lake, and then I'm going to let Ryan jump in here if he has any questions.
It's my job just to sit back and compile just strategic questions.
I can tell you've been stirring something this whole time. You ready for it?
But what do you, I do?
You tease it up way too much. Anticlimactic ending. Fizzle out.
Salt Lake though. Salt Lake. Do you like the mountains?
I love the mountains. That's probably an understatement. I love them so much, and I love the people. Like I was saying earlier, of just how supportive everyone is and how easy it is to get your foot in the door. I think that's a beautiful thing. I think it's a really good sized city because you can kind of make your way around the whole entire valley pretty easily without it being so spread out. We were talking about LA earlier, and it's a 2-hour drive to go to your friend's house half the time with traffic, you know what I mean? So it's like it's really spread out.
I'm gonna stop for lunch on the way there.
Yes,
right?
exactly. So I like the fact that everything's close together, but it's not such a small town like somewhere like Cortez, Colorado, or Idaho Falls, which are two small cities that I have an amazing following in and have some great shows at. But it's so small, like I would just get bored of that so quickly, and I would want something more, and I would feel like
you can't really spread out and do more.
Exactly.
There. But
yeah.
you can here, and if not, you can create something.
And it's a really cool hub because of its location,
Mm-hmm.
because there's nothing in between really. Like if someone's playing in Colorado, which is a really big market for a lot of hip hop and reggae and all sorts of stuff right now, and then California and stuff, and like what's in between it, they have to pass through Salt Lake. Or if they're going up to the northwest, or they're going to the southwest, or whatever direction they're going, touring artists like almost always come through Salt Lake. So we have, for the size of our city, the amount of touring acts and like high top tier talent that comes through this city is just crazy.
Yeah.
So I think our geographic location is really cool. I think the people are really cool. I think there's lots of amazing local businesses, and I think just as like entrepreneurship is thriving here, and I feel like there's just a lot of people that have a mentality of like, let's build something, let's create something, most of the people I meet around here are like, they have like some type of company or some type of thing that they're working on, or project or artistic thing, and people aren't just necessarily all fitting into the norm of like, go to college, work a job. And there is a bit of that too, but I mean, I feel like I said earlier, the religious oppression does create an equally epic counterculture, and
There's a great divide
Yeah.
because of
so
it.
it's a cool balance.
You got any questions over there, Ron? You've been watching patiently.
I'm doing a good job, man. I'm trying to build up my ability to sit quiet and not just impulsively jump in all over this. It was hard, though, when you're talking about skateboarding crash videos, because every guy out there, when you watch like that video where it sends that special tingle pain up your nuts, like up your spine, and you're like, ugh, in your stomach.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah, any skateboard crash does it in. So hats off to anybody that's willing to do that. All right, let's talk for a little about music though. Do you have some go-to artists that you were inspired by coming up? When you're younger, that you look to now when you're having a boring day, or you just turn on something that gets you going?
Totally. I have this tattoo right here, the Hieroglyphics logo. They're a hip hop crew from California, and shout out to Hieroglyphics. They're the homies now, and it's crazy that I even can call those guys my friends. But I grew up listening to them when I first heard them in skateboard and snowboard videos. I loved it so much, and it was just like good vibe music, and it's conscious. They're kind of saying some real stuff, but they're also fun and lighthearted at times, and it's just cool music. So I started listening to that at a young age, and that kind of inspired me. And then now, like you're saying, when I have like kind of a boring day or a down day, I'll put them on, and it re-sparks that same inspiration that I had when I was a kid. So Hieroglyphics, The Roots, People Under the Stairs, Living Legends, and then like a lot of the Rhyme Sayers stuff back in the day. Nowadays, I listen to a lot more poppy hip hop. I listen to a lot more mainstream stuff, and it's partially because I like the beats and the cadences, and I like the mindset of like success and stuff like that. So I'm kind of listening to more mainstream stuff now, but I always go back to the classic hip hop. I love Mos Def, Talib Kweli, and just some of like and KRS-One, and like a lot of the golden era, like boom bap.
The good stuff.
Yeah.
Tell you, tonight when this podcast comes out, this will already have happened. But Dave Chappelle and Tribe
Yes.
Called Quest on Saturday Night Live tonight.
I am so
I
excited
did not
for
know
that.
that. I'm gonna go watch
Oh
it.
my
Yeah.
gosh, you got to check this out. What do you think of the new Tribe Called Quest? Have you listened
So
to it?
I listened to one song and I immediately stopped listening because I realized that it was going to be so epic that I needed to sit down and fully digest
You
it
need a
because I
minute.
like to listen to albums all the way through. I really love
Start to finish.
the transitions and the story that all the songs together kind of tell in the whole package rather than just a song here, a song there. That's why I don't really like to listen to stuff on like shuffle or like random playlists. I want to hear the album, how it transitions from each song, because I think that's like one of the most magical parts of a whole project.
I love that you said that. I feel the same way.
I see that to me. That's super interesting because I've never thought of it that way, and now I'm gonna actually try to do that.
Well, a lot of albums are telling a story from start
Yeah.
to finish, you know.
But I'm
So,
always on shuffle. So
Really?
I'm like, surprise me, whatever. Yeah.
See, I'm a big fan of like mixtapes, so that's why I like the
Yeah.
shuffle idea too. You know?
And
I
it-
do like shuffle sometimes. Like if I'm working out or something
Yeah.
and I want to just kind of have
If
a
you wanna not
playlist
think.
of a bunch of songs and I just want to.
Yeah.
Doesn't
But
it
like-
kill you when a new song, when you know what the next song is on the album, but then a different song comes on?
Oh.
Okay, that
you
is
start
that is
start
really
singing or
frustrating.
something like that, right?
But I think people like me maybe need to think about that for a minute. Artists create their albums,